Welcome to Canada's Business Model Competition 2015. This is Canada's only national business model competition, and it's hosted by the Norman Newman Centre for Entrepreneurship at Dalhousie University. Winners from the 2015 Canada's Business Model Competition will move on to compete at the International Business Model Competition taking place this year at Brigham Young in May. The competition is open to student ventures from post-secondary institutions across Canada who use the business model canvas to validate their idea using customer discovery and complete their business model canvas. The competition will take place on March 13th and 14th at the Rowe School of Business, Dalhousie University, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Teams will compete for a share of $50,000 prize package sponsored by Deloitte. The first place team prize is $25,000 with $15,000 in cash and $10,000 in kind. Second place prize is a prize of $15,000 with $9,000 in cash and $6,000 in kind. And the third place prize is no less than $10,000 with a $6,000 cash prize and a $4,000 in kind prize. Most of the questions we receive around Canada's business model competition have to do with eligibility of the teams. The eligibility requirements for Canada's business model competition are consistent with those in the International Business Model Competition. However, we do want to point out that there is no one set of criteria that can apply to every single circumstance. Therefore, the organizers of Canada's business model competition recognize that there may be special circumstances where student teams feel they fit the spirit of the competition, but may be in minor violation of one or two of the eligibility criteria. There is still a possibility in that case for teams to submit a petition via email to startingleaninitiative@gmail.com. The organizers of Canada's business model competition will consider each case individually and reserve the right to determine the eligibility or to disqualify a team that it deems to be in violation of the spirit of the competition. All decisions will be made by Canada's business model competition organizers and are final. So let's get started and have a look at the eligibility criteria. The competition is open to student venture teams. How big can the teams be? Student teams can range in size from 2 to 5 students. Full-time students that have been enrolled full-time in the current academic year are automatically considered students. So the question then becomes, how am I a student? Under what conditions am I considered a student? And what if I'm attending school part-time? Students enrolled in part-time courses at post-secondary institutions since last May who obtained a minimum of 6 credit hours, meaning 2 part-time courses with 3 credit hours, are considered students and are eligible for the competition. Students that graduated last May 2014, are eligible for the competition. In terms of executive roles, students must comprise 50% of the executive roles at the C level, including CEO, CTO, COO, etc. In terms of ownership, students must have a minimum of 20% of the ownership of the venture. This means that the other 80% ownership of the venture can be outside of the student team, but the venture is still eligible. Questions around revenue generation also come up, and we want to clarify these as well. Can a venture that begins to earn revenue over the course of their validating their business model canvas, are they eligible for the competition? And the answer to that is yes, as long as the venture is not earning substantial revenue, and what is considered substantial revenue is considered on a case-by-case basis. The competition is for new startups, and it may be the case that the venture does earn revenue over the course of validating the business model canvas. So minimal revenue generation is definitely allowed through the customer validation process. To ensure that the venture is a new venture, restrictions are put in place in terms of revenue generation. The question of substantial revenue generation must be considered on a case-by-case basis, and it will come down to how quickly or how recently did the venture begin to earn revenue. If it was within the last 2 terms over which the students were enrolled in school and it occurred through their customer validation of their canvas, they may be considered eligible for the competition. When it comes to investment, total investment in the venture cannot exceed $100,000 US. That includes investment from friends, family, debt sources, accelerators, incubators, or government sources. Also, many questions come up around what is considered a venture. So ventures cannot be an expansion of an existing company. It cannot be something that's created for a tax shelter. It cannot be a franchise of an existing company or a licensing agreement for distribution in a different geographical area than a company that is already in place, a spin-out from an existing corporation, or it cannot simply be a buyout from a previous company. Licensing technologies from universities, tech transfer offices, or research labs is certainly encouraged, and these will be considered new ventures as long as that licensing agreement did not lead to another company or was commercialized previously. In terms of prior activities, ventures can compete in Canada's business model competition only once. This does not mean that students cannot compete more than once. Students can compete in Canada's business model competition more than once as long as they are competing with different venture ideas. A venture can only be brought to the competition once. In terms of voting control for the venture, the student members of the team must control a minimum of 51% of the venture's voting rights. In terms of other members on the team, not all members of the team need to be enrolled in a university or need to be considered students. Student venture teams can be comprised of non-student members. However, only the students themselves can compete in Canada's business model competition. This means that only the student team members can be included in the video for application, can be included in the team that comes to the competition to compete and receives feedback. All of the regulations around eligibility follow the International Business Model Competition criteria, and if you are looking for more information, you can visit their site. This ensures that there is compatibility and comparability around eligibility requirements for Canada's business model competition, as well as those in other countries, so that when winning teams go to compete at the International Business Model Competition, they will be competing with teams that have the same eligibility criteria in their own home countries. And as we mentioned above, under extenuating circumstances, student teams may submit inquiries around eligibility requirements, and they will be considered on a case-by-case basis by our organizing team. So, what does the event look like? Our detailed schedule will be up on the Canada's Business Model Competition website soon. However, I can give you an overview of what the 2 days will look like. Registration will open in the mid-afternoon around 2:30 p.m. and it will take place until 4:30 roughly, We don't expect all teams to arrive at the same time as they'll be coming in on different flights, but we want teams to arrive before 4:30 in the afternoon of Friday the 13th. Orientation will start at 4:30. This is where teams learn about the rules, regulations, and what will happen over the course of the competition. They'll also understand which rooms are be assigned, the exact schedule, the criteria that the judges will be using to judge the competition. Following that, there will be dinner and networking, and in the evening, teams will receive, those teams that would like can receive coaching and mentoring. We have a qualified staff of coaches and mentors. They are not the judges, they're quite separate from the judges, but they're very familiar with Canada's business model competition. They're very familiar with customer discovery and business model validation. And they're very familiar with the rules and regulations around the competition. And they can help by providing tips on how to present, how to organize your material, how to put your best foot forward, and in terms of timing your presentation, and all kinds of other tips on how to give a great pitch. The competition itself takes place on Saturday. It begins in the morning, and without giving an exact time, I can give you a guideline. The semifinal judges will take place roughly at this point. If we follow last year's schedule, expect the semifinal judging to take place at 9 a.m. in the morning. We encourage teams to be here by 8. There will be breakfast, coffee, and a reception networking session. Teams will then proceed to their rooms where they will be presenting, and the semifinal judging and scoring will take place over the course of 2.5 hours, right up until lunchtime. While lunch is taking place, the semifinal judges will convene. They will make their decision on the teams that are moving forward. Following lunch, those winning teams will be announced. Those teams that are moving forward to the final competition will have time to, again, meet with mentors. They will be able to change their presentation based on the feedback they received and update their presentation going into the final judging round. The final judging round and scoring will take place mid-afternoon on the Saturday, probably 2 o'clock, and closing ceremonies and final announcements taking place at the end of the afternoon with an after party to follow. It's going to be a very exciting day, fun-packed, lots of learning, lots of networking. Okay, let's talk about travel allowance. Each team will be allowed up to $1,500 to cover the cost of travel and accommodation. Teams closer to Halifax likely will not need the full $1,500 to cover travel and accommodation, but they can submit expenses for any travel-related expenses, as well as their hotel bill. When we talk about travel, it is for either air travel or travel by car, and all original receipts need to be submitted. Expenses for food and miscellaneous while you're in transit are not eligible. We follow the guidelines provided by the university. Original receipts must be submitted, and that includes boarding passes for your flights. Each team will also be allowed up to $500 to cover the cost of a coach or professor or team mentor to travel with the team. A block of rooms has been reserved at the Courtyard Marriott on the Halifax waterfront within walking distance of the university. Each individual is responsible for obtaining and providing all of your receipts that are signed for reimbursement. And again, we do have to follow guidelines for Dalhousie University, and we want to be able to reimburse you, but we emphasize please hang on to your receipts, including your boarding passes. In terms of applying, please fill out the application form found on the event website, and the application consists of an 8-minute video submission. The video submissions will determine whether or not you're accepted into Canada's Business Model Competition. Teams accepted into Canada's Business Model Competition become the semifinalists for the semifinal rounds on Saturday, March 14th. There are lots of resources on our website to help you prepare your video. Because this is a business model competition, teams need to show how they use their business model canvas to validate their business model, do customer discovery, and customer validation. You should clearly identify the problem you're solving or the need you're addressing, the value proposition, and who your customer segments are, how you will make money. Explain any pivots that your team has made in the process and describe the overall lessons learned. There's an example of a video submission on our website from Sante West. Sante West was the team that took third place at Canada's Business Model Competition in 2014, and we're very pleased that Sante West has given permission to host their video submission on our website. More additional resources. The Business Model Canvas can be found on YouTube. You can also go to Strategizer. There's an online tool to download the Business Model Canvas in digital form or to build your Business Model Canvas that could be useful in your video submission. Also, all kinds of resources on the International Business Model Competition website, including presentations of previous competitions. The video that you see presented here was the OWLAT video, which was the winner of the International Business Model Competition in 2013 when the competition took place at Harvard. For more information, please check out our website at Business Model Competition Canada for more helpful videos and tips. We look forward to your applications. Applications close February 20th, and we look forward to seeing everyone in Halifax on March 13th and 14th. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Additional questions, please contact the Manager of Programs and Projects, Akram Al-Toumi, or our Project and Communications Coordinator, Kathleen Haymans. Any other questions, please feel free to email us at any time. Thank you.